everybody, just back today, first video of the new year. Just thought I'd show a couple things that I had picked up. Talked about how I was expecting something that didn't come for Christmas, and there was something else that I was getting for this year for the family. Not as much my miniature tabletop games, but just a game that I got for them that I'll show and unbox. I thought I'd just talk a little bit about a couple things that I did over the holiday that were really cool. I watched, while I was off, a bit more TV than usual, and like went to the movies too. And so I don't know how many of you guys have seen Rogue One. I won't do any spoilers, but I saw it and I was really, really happy with it. I thought it was really awesome. And so, actually, as far as gaming goes recently, I played X-Wing recently, as well as Sharp's Practice on New Year's Day. The X-Wing I've been playing for the last couple months, picked it up again with a friend. That's what we have a tendency to do, is to pick the game up and play it a number of times and switch to something else, and then after a few times switch back to it. And so we're sort of cycling through, like I'm cycling through Saga, X-Wing, Armada. Those ones I just continually put down and pick up. So we're actually heading back into Armada. But we've been playing X-Wing quite a bit, and I played the Phantom and the Boba Fett's ship, I forget the name of it. I know it's called Slave One, and then there's the Fire Spray is the name. And so I used those two as a combination, and that was a lot of fun. I had one round where I got annihilated, and I was rolling really, really bad, and like not judging my movement well. And then the next game I did extremely well, and won that one. So it was kind of cool. But you know, like that Rogue One, actually, without giving any spoilers, just really inspired me about Star Wars again, because I just found it to be such a good movie and really worth a rewatch. I'd probably just pick it up when it comes out on DVD. But another thing that I've watched recently that has nothing to do with gaming of any kind, but just thought I'd mention to you guys because it's really cool, is there's a show on Netflix called Trapped, and it's an Icelandic sort of crime drama. And I was surprised as to how much I really liked it. Like, I tend not to go like for the crime sort of shows like CSI and all of that kind of stuff. It's just really not my thing. My wife loves those shows, I just don't really. But this show I picked actually on Netflix to watch, and it is subtitled, but I find that it's really manageable, and I still feel like I watched the show. Like, I didn't find it hard at all, and I just binge watched that. And for me, binge watching something I really like is just watching one episode a day, not like all through, because if I really like something, I kind of like to savor it and think about the episode, and then, you know, within 24 hours I'm kind of ready to watch the next one, and then just, you know, and I really, really liked it. So if you guys think you might be interested, check it out on Netflix. It's called Trapped. One of the things that I ended up getting was over the holidays, and it didn't come in time. This was sort of like a late Christmas present, is I got some of these bases. Now, these are for Sharp's Practice, and so these are like units of 8, so 4 and 4. I got a few of these, and then I also got for units of 10 as well. And I got these also for Musket Tomahawks, because this is like a really good firing line size. You could even put 2 together and actually do it that way too, if you had units of 10 or 20. Musket Tomahawks is pretty forgiving in the way they want you to have your unit sizes, where Sharp's Practice is a little bit more standard in the amount that they prescribe, and of the way like units should be. Standard unit sizes are oftentimes 8 for regulars in Sharp's Practice. I also got this, which is a bit of a skirmish base. Now, it's a large skirmish base. This is more of a test. You know, I don't really need this, but I got it primarily for Sharp's Practice because they do at times have 6 and 8, groups of 6 and 8 that are skirmishers typically. I figured for 6 I probably never need like a movement tray, but I thought for 8 might be interesting to try. I did put some in here. You can see how they fit in there, and they actually fit really nice. I'm thinking that might be good for more like open field, more of an open field French Indian War, or closer to American War of Independence style table, where if there's a lot of thick woods and a lot of tremendous amount of terrain. I'm thinking these probably aren't going to work. They probably won't be as convenient. But if I ever do want to use them, like these are cool. I was placing an order anyway, so I thought I'd try them. The units of, well, I believe these are called Battle Zone, or the name of the trays. I'm almost sure of that. I'm not positive. But I actually got this. I took this sort of as a recommendation from Fraser on Von Ketteringham's channel. He seemed to get these over and over. Like I noticed, like every time he went to a show, he picked up more, and it was more this style, longer though, of these. And so I thought, yeah, these like resin movement trays. I'll try them out. They were, yeah, like purchase experience was fine. You know, the only thing, all of these ones of both the 10s and the 8 trays. The miniatures fit in just perfect. I had, probably on each one of these, I got 2 of them, there was maybe 1 or 2 squares where I had to file it a bit. But I also, just because I was placing an order and I figured if I ever needed one, I ordered one just to check it out of a actual full size, like this 20 base unit. Now this one really would not fit the 20. Like I actually took a Dremel to the corners to smooth them out to get it to fit 20. So the amount of cleanup was really minimal. Like I said, most of the movement trays, the standard movement tray, or all of these movement trays were fine. I didn't have to do any filing. The skirmish trays had 1 or 2 squares where I had to clean them up a little bit because they are resin to get them to fit in well. And then this one required, I don't know if it was just the particular one I got, but even though this was a square one like the others, all the corners really needed some work on this one. And so I have to still prime them and paint them up. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm thinking of just using, rather than flocking like all around the edges and stuff, I'm thinking about just using the same color as my movement bases, my bases that these guys are on, that sort of earth brown. And so we'll see how that goes. I had a sharp practice game on Sunday, and I think I was going to say that these will work really well for that. The game was actually really, really good. I learned more. There were some of these things just cleaning up in my head on the rules. There were a couple of key things that came out of the game that were quite important, you know, for it, and we kind of picked it up through playing it. But it was an excellent game. I really liked it. Looking forward to definitely playing more of that, and still going to do the series like I talked about. But yeah, it was really, really, really quite good. So enjoyed that. So, not a whole lot else. I have some historical painting updates to do, table updates, but I think I'm going to do that set in a separate video towards the end of the week because I'm going to do this unboxing and I don't want to stretch this video out too much. And I think I'll just do like a table down video down in the hobby room. One thing I'll just mention is I'm working on a ton of terrain in the hobby room. I tend to, maybe if I'm doing like an inquisitorial thoughts where it's just a chat or an update or an unboxing, I'll do it sometimes. This video's in my dining room. But I usually do all my videos in my hobby room. My hobby room is just a disaster right now. I have, you saw the video, or the rivers that I purchased and I was working on, and I completed 3 of them, you know, to completion to see how I could do them. But I not only had 6 more lengths or 2 boxes, but Steve actually had been given a set of the same rivers for the fords, and he wasn't going to use them because they don't match up with his rivers. So now I have 9 lengths more in addition to the 3. So I have like 12 feet of river that I'm working on to complete. And so I've done the dry brushing and I've done all of the polyurethane to clear coat the tops. But now I've got to put the sand and paint the stones and put the flock on. And so my hobby room is just covered with sections of river and on every available surface. And I also have some other work that I've done for the historical stuff. And so I'll probably give an update and show some of that towards the end of the week. But now I'm just going to just show what I ended up getting for this unboxing, this thing I talked about for the family. And so just open this up here. Now this box is a lot heavier than what I expected, considering it shouldn't hold any metal miniatures. It's quite a sizable box. So, the main thing is actually on the bottom. So just for effect, I'm just going to pull that out first. But this is the main thing, and probably most of the weight of the box. Ugh. So, Zombicide Black Plague. So I got this to play with my wife and kids. It looked like a lot of fun. A couple people that got me turning my head towards this direction. One was Fraser at Von Ketteringham. So really, I was going to just for fun call today's episode like the Fraser of Von Ketteringham inspired update. Because like these as well as this, I kind of saw that he had gotten this and it got me looking into it. Honestly, seeing Fraser stuff kind of just got my head thinking about it. But then also Fritz 40K is another channel that many of you that are into Warhammer may know about. He's really a big fan of this, and I occasionally watch Fritz's videos too, and I know he had some really good videos up on his opinions on Zombicide and like a walkthrough, the Black Plague specifically. And so between the two of them, Fraser and Fritz, I just decided this would be really great to try to play with my wife and kids. We'd sometimes go out of town on the weekends and play board games and stuff, and where we're staying and things like that. And so I thought this would be nice for that, as well as just even during the school year, like weeknight evening or something, just to play a quick game. And so, yeah, I'm not stressing over painting this at all. I actually commend Fraser for like so quickly like hitting the Zombicide to paint. I've got other priorities for painting right now. I do really want to paint some of this stuff up, and I kind of thought, since I haven't really continued with my Castle Ravenloft Dungeons and Dragons painting for those miniatures for that board game. Part of it is I don't really play it as much with the kids, and I'm hoping like this one seems to be a little bit smoother of a game mechanic in game than Castle Ravenloft, and so I'm thinking that we may enjoy this one to play as a family a bit more. And so for those of you that had initially subscribed to the channel through like either the whole series I did on the Wrath of Ashardalon game, or maybe even where Castle Ravenloft that I started, when I do actually paint these, maybe you'll enjoy that, because the miniatures are kind of similar and a lot of the techniques I would use would be the same. And so yeah, like I will likely paint these up. Now, my family, I don't know if I've ever talked about this before, my wife has really no desire to be on my YouTube channel in any means. My wife also is a little sensitive about my kids being on the internet, like on video and things like that, and so I don't really show my kids on video. Not that it's like a big deal or anything, at least to me it's not, I think it's fine, but that's just sort of wishes that she has, so I don't actually put them up on, and it's sure she has a bit of an old school mentality about just being on the internet and stuff, and so I just don't put them on, and sometimes they are. I may have had one of my daughters when I was playing a game of 40K in a battle report. My oldest daughter was there, and she was playing the game, but we just weren't on camera, and that was fine. And so. Yeah, I don't know what you guys think about that, and maybe it's a bit quirky, just a bit of a quirky thing with us, I guess. But I have 2 daughters and my wife, who I plan on playing this with, and the game comes with 5 heroes, and I'm just looking at the back of the box here, and there's 3 guys and 2 gals. Now, right off the bat, there's just not enough gals, because they're all going to want to, in particular my 2 daughters are going to want to play female characters, because they're 10 and 12 going on 13, and they're just going to want to play a female character. That's just the way it is. And so the set isn't that great for that, considering there's 3 of them. And so what I decided to do right off the bat, I was looking at that I need to get some of these expansion boxes of characters that have maybe a bit more female heavy, so they have a lot of choice. And so in particular, one of them that I got for that purpose was this Mark Simonetti expansion box. There's 4 survivors. I'm kind of far away from the camera today, but there's 4 survivors in this. And there's basically like what looks to be a female warrior, a female witch or like magic kind of user, a guy with an executioner guy with an axe, and also more of like a ranger that's a female. She looks like a hunter kind of. And so this is 3 out of the 4 characters are females. One of them is more of a magic user, and that's quite popular. My kids kind of want to play wizards and stuff, so I thought that was a good idea. So so I actually had a hard decision as to which box to get for the kids, because the other thing is there's this box here, although it only has one female. It's what they call the Naid, N-A-I-A-D-E is the name of the artist, Naid, special guest box. Now, it appears to have 1 female, but has 2 elven characters and a dwarf, and you know, they like Lord of the Rings and all that kind of stuff, and they looked, and it has an apprentice character that's a wizard, that's like a boy, so a kid, you know, essentially. And then 1 like really strong like dwarf with a hammer. So I kind of said, you know what, I'm placing this order, paying for delivery, I might as well just get it. Now, that should have been enough, and that should have been fine and all I really needed as far as like to play the core set and to have like plenty of characters to play for the wife and the kids. But when I was looking at getting these expansion boxes, there was 1 box that had a miniature that I just felt like I had to have to play the game. Now some of this stuff, they're probably going to replenish their stocks, but they did a Kickstarter initially and did like an initial retail wave, as I understand it, and a lot of places that I can see are running out of stock of a lot of this stuff. And like Amazon and some places have really expensive prices, like they're kind of going up in money. If you go on the Cool Mini or Not website, a lot of them are out of stock. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to get some of this stuff, I might as well just get it now if I'm thinking I'm going to get it, because they seem to be running out, they seem to be going up in price. So this one, I got the Paul Bonner box. Now, you can probably see that sort of troll guy on the front. He sort of looks like a bit of a giant. I think he's been described as a barbarian. He's actually quite huge. He's like 2 to 3 times the size of the characters. Like you can see him on the back of the box there. He's the one towards the bottom, and there's 3 above him. He's really like 2 the size to 3 times the size of everybody else, and so you're basically like kind of playing a troll as a character. And then it comes with a dwarf, another wizard, a human wizard, and then Genevieve, a female character with a crossbow, which so it's another female character, which is great. And so those are like lots of characters to play. Now, playing with the kids and stuff, I think choosing your character is like going to be a really big deal. Like whenever you even play like D&D or role-playing games or lots of these kinds of games, or even Monopoly, it's like I got to be the top hat. You know, the characters are really important. And so I think having now 4, 8, 12, 20 characters to choose from, it's more than enough. I probably didn't need that many. But those are the reasons why I got that stuff. And then finally, you know, I mainly wanted the core rules to play the game. There's lots of expansion materials of different types of monsters and characters with NPC cards and things like that. I was eyeing that stuff. I wanted a lot more than what I did get. Like I still wanted to get more of it, but and just make like one big initial purchase. But I settled on this one. I got the Zombie Bosses pack, which basically has, I guess in the game there's these abominations, which are like the toughest kind of zombies that you go up against. This brings 3 different kinds, like a Minotaur abomination, like a troll abomination, and this sort of like what I would call, they call it a blob abomination, or abomina blob, or something like that. And it just basically looks like this kind of Nurgle-ish if you play 40k or fantasy thing. And so I thought, you know, I might as well mix it up a little bit and get this before it sells out. There's other stuff I like to get, but I think I just put it on, you know, I drew the line there. That was actually like more than what I was intending to spend to begin with on it. Yeah, like I think it should be a lot of fun. I think that's enough for now. There is an expansion called Wolfsburg, which I think if we like it, I'll have to get. But even that, I looked around and it's becoming less and less available in the short term. I'm hoping that they'll just restock their stuff. Like I haven't played Cool Mini or Not games in the past, and so I don't really understand how they do their releases. I know they do Kickstarters, and I looked on eBay, and there's a lot of people that are selling their Kickstarter, and that seems to be the most economical way to get the game, but you're also dropping, unless you join the Kickstarter and spent about what I just did here, that would be a great deal. But I'm not big on Kickstarters. Like, I don't typically do them. I don't have too much philosophically against it, and I realize that it is a good way for companies to get their foot in the door, to get the capacity to offer products. I've had at least one situation where it didn't go that great, and these guys seem to be really well established and pretty reliable. But at the same time, I don't typically know like that far in advance what I'm going to want, and so I just went in with this, and I guess even looking at eBay, I kind of thought, now that I know that I want it, should I just try to buy like another Kickstarter or something? And it was like double the amount than what the Kickstarter was, and I don't know, it's a bit of probably a topic of conversation for an Inquisitorial Thoughts, but the whole diminishing returns on investments in gaming is something that I'm kind of closely pay attention to with my purchases. And I find that with certain things, like, it's easy to spend far more and acquire a lot more than what you really need to enjoy a certain amount of the game. And so probably the core box is the best investment, and then everything after that has a bit of a diminishing return. Now, if you really like it, I think some of the additions do mix up the rules and allow different characters with different rules to mix up and enhance the game. But really, like, these things were more for like me, one of them, and like another one for my kids, and then another one because I just was stupid in continuing to buy. I really like the models on the bosses, like particularly this troll. Like, I think these would be really fun to paint, and they do seem to be good additions to the game, so I feel pretty good about that. But yeah, like, I don't know if you guys are playing Zombicide. I know one or two people that are, but interested in your thoughts on how you like the game. I could incorporate a little bit of Zombicide in the future, the Black Plague. I don't really have any intentions to do the other game, the basic Zombicide, or the initial one, I should say the main Zombicide. I think I'm going to stick with the Black Plague. They do have, or had a Kickstarter for a thing called, it's something Darkness, and it's basically like a Dungeons and Dragons version of this, where it's not focused on zombies purely, but like a party of characters going through like the dungeons. And it seems to me, in looking at a lot of the tools and the leveling up of the characters and stuff, that they've kind of taken a page out of Zombicide Black Plague, and now are like moving forward with that kind of approach in game to do like a full-on RPG dungeon crawl. And so that's interesting. Like, I don't know, I'll probably just stick with this one for a while and maybe consider the core box of that in the future if we all really like this. So stopped at my local hobby shop today, and two things I picked up just related to what we're doing here is I got a bunch of these sleeves. I got the Mayday Games premium little card sleeves. Got a bunch of these for Zombicide. But then I also got the same ones, but just a different size, premium sleeves for Sharp Practice. Because Sharp Practice, you can use both tokens and cards, and I got these sleeves just for the cards, just to keep the cards in good condition. I never did that with Musket Tomahawks. For whatever reason, they held up just fine. I've always tried to take care of them. I don't shuffle like I would for poker. Like with my game cards, I tend to do the whole flip into a few piles and mix them all up on the table, and I don't crinkle them, and so they've held up just fine. But I thought I would get good sleeves for these anyway. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on with me. Just working on lots of terrain and the little bit of historical stuff that I talked about in the After Christmas video. Hope everybody's hobbying is starting off really well for the new year. I'm likely going to be joining Nick's New Year Painting Challenge again this year, and I'm not going to be doing it till like the last day of the year. But I'm thinking my Malifaux crew that I talked about, which isn't coming up like in the next 1 or 2 things that I'm working on, but it's like right after that. That's going to be, I think, my New Year. It'll be like within the first quarter of the year, my New Year sort of challenge to get that done. Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, that's about it for here. Interested in what you guys are doing, and take care.